So, you want to throw away £30 in the quickest and easiest way possible. Well, let me suggest to you this. Buy yourself a roll of CineStill 800T, chuck it into a point and shoot that you found on eBay for £70, find out it has a dodgy light meter, put the roll through it, underexpose every shot, forget to adjust the zone focusing on every single shot you take, send it off to a lab, get it developed, and boom, you have effectively and efficiently thrown away £30. CineStill 800T was originally born to the world as a Kodak Vision 3 motion picture film. This is a ultra-fine grain cinema film that is still used in many movies today. Then one day, Brandon and Brian Wright, otherwise known as the brothers Wright, decided, hey, to hell with the ramjet layer, we don't want no ECN2 chemical processing, we want C41 chemical processing. So they figured out a very clever way to remove the ramjet layer, and CineStill was born. For those of you who don't know, because I certainly didn't a few weeks ago, the ramjet layer is essentially a carbon layer that is put onto the cinema grade film. It is this layer that means that the film has to be developed with ECN2 chemicals rather than C41 chemicals. It is also the layer that stops all those halations that CineStill is known for. Anyway, if you're far more serious than I am and you don't want an explanation that is fit for a nursery child, then I will try and link a far better description of how CineStill was developed in the link below. Anyway, so our journey today begins in Bristol, shock, and me trying to load this roll of CineStill 800T into my camera one-handed. It really didn't work. The reason why I was heading into Bristol on a dark and dingy evening was because the legends that developed this film, Jack's Lab, were hosting a coffee evening at a local roasting house over in Easton. So I hopped on the train and headed over there. Once I arrived, I fired my first shot outside the coffee house, Radical Roasters. Shout out to them, they did make some amazing coffee. Anyway, these photos are awful, well and truly awful, and this is where basically the bar was set for most of these shots going forward. There are a few good ones, but keep your expectations in check. After I had redeemed my espresso martini made out of the new roasting blend that the film lab had created in collaboration with them, I got around to taking a few more shots of the interior of this coffee house, but I didn't manage to record a lot as there was quite a lot going on. Anyway, the evening was a great success, and I like a huge amount of the shots here. I think they're really cool and moody, and I think it worked quite well to use CineStill in this scenario. Before we move on, if you are in the Bristol area, or quite frankly beyond, then please do send your film off to Jack's Lab. The staff there have been super friendly and super helpful and really knowledgeable. Oh, and also if you're ever in the eastern area of Bristol, go get a coffee from Radical Roasters. I absolutely love this shot. I think it's the perfect use for this film. The train itself is cool and moody, and the artificial lights give it the amazing CineStill halation, as well as the subject being framed nicely by the chairs. So that was the end of my evening out here, and the first 12 shots of this film, I think there was some usable shots here. I think these were the best ones of the day. The very next day was Valentine's Day, a weird day of the year and one I've not cared too much for in the past. But still, me and my date for the night, the Olympus XA2, decided to head off into town, accompanied by a very strange person. However, she was good company and we kept her around for the rest of the night. After we finished eating, we headed out into the night to enjoy the rest of this romantic occasion with my first love, photography. So if you watched my last video and you remember when I said if you forget to adjust the zone focus slider on the XA2 then you're an idiot, well, I'm an idiot. In fact, I'm such an idiot, I forgot to adjust this slider for pretty much all of the 36 shots in this roll, and I didn't even notice until the very last shot. I hadn't been aware of the tornado that had hit earlier that evening, so coming across this upside down house was quite a surprise, but it made for a good subject nonetheless.
Who knows? I don't know.
Yep, these are still out of focus. But I'm kind of annoyed about these ones. They could have been really amazing shots, but hey, we live and we try and learn. These shots of the Bristol Hippodrome came out really well, and actually I think these are probably the best shots of the evening. There are some really nice colours here, and I really like the halations that CineStill 800T gives off. I know a lot of people are a bit opposed to this and don't like the look, but personally I'm a big fan. So that concludes my tutorial on how to burn £30. Of the roll of 36, 3 of these got thrown into the bin because they, quite frankly, literally weren't even viewable. And of the remaining 33, I would say that these shots were pretty good. Anyway, I recently expanded my collection of film cameras due to a generous donation. I managed to get a Praktica MTL3 and a Minolta XA2. However, I think the capacitors are gone in this one, so this one's going to require a bit of work. So I think I'll try and get out and test this camera soon. The Praktica does work, and hopefully I'll be able to test the XA2 as soon as I manage to get my hands on a soldering kit. So until then, if you need to dispose of some money very quickly, I highly recommend you put a roll of CineStill 800T into a very cheap point and shoot.
Well, finished the roll, and I realised I didn't adjust a single bit of focus. So I don't know how any of these are going to turn out.